so I basically had never touched paint before COVID. And in my real, let me not say my real life, in my 9 to 5 life, I do pharmaceutical research. So I run clinical trials in oncology globally. Okay. So during COVID, nerves were a little tight, as we were trying to come up with a vaccine. So I needed something to chill out, but yet I could do it in my house. But back in the day when you couldn't even get on the road or go anywhere. Also, too, in 20, I want to say 18, 17 or 18, my father was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. So I was taking him back and forth between his house and Hopkins, no, my house and Hopkins, and I was stressed out. And I needed something to do to kind of relax. And I started painting. And then I'm a little OCD, so I started doing it every single day, especially during COVID, because you had time for days. You couldn't go anywhere, no one could see you. You looked crazy. So I got into fluid art. I saw, I don't know, there was some product I wanted, and they were like, "Oh, you can learn to make this." I was like, "Do tell." So I did my first painting and I was hooked. The first painting, you got me. You got me. I did about every day for about 2.5 years, basically. I saw fluid painting online because, this is during COVID, so none of us could really leave the house. So, I wanted to buy something like a shower curtain or something. And then I wanted a painting to go with it. And then I found a video saying either you could buy this or you could make this. I was like, I could make this. Okay. And then when I started like watching a video too about it and doing a little investigation, so my background is in chemistry. I went to Spelman College and I have a degree in chemistry. So I was like, this, I understand the principles of this. I can make this work. But it was still just like, kind of killing time-ish, right? But my job is very international. I work with like 65, 70,000 international employees, right? We all work from home. So, and we're all stressed out and crazy during COVID. So I wanted to make more paintings, but then I was like accumulating so many paintings. So I sent them to my coworkers all over the world, like for free, just to get them out the house. And I sent them to India. I sent them to Montreal. I sent them to the Netherlands. And they were like, "You really should sell these, Mary." I was like, "Nobody's gonna want this." But so I've tried a farmer's market. So I tried like a farmer's market in Maryland near my mother's house, and I sold like 100 paintings in 2 months. I was like, googly, okay, well, I might be onto something. But even then, I still kind of wasn't taking it seriously. I was taking it, but I was like, I'm also at that time I was a terrible salesperson. So I was like, maybe it's just because they're cheap, you know. But I've still continued to paint almost every day since COVID. So I got better and better, better and better. Anything you do consistently, you will get better at. So, and then I got more feedback, and then that led me to my best friend. She has a condo at National Harbor. And she wanted me, she's like, there's this place here. There's this gallery. You need to apply. I'm like, oh, they'll never want me. What are you talking about, crazy person? But she was on me. She was on me incessantly until I turned in that application. And I did. And then, like in November 2022, I got into arsenation. And then, like, the rest is almost a crazy. More happened to me in 365 days has ever happened to me in my life, ever, by far. No one is more surprised than me. And when they first installed me in arsenation at National Harbor, I didn't believe it. I put in my stuff, and then I went back outside because I didn't recognize my own stuff. It's like, that my stuff. But that became the first of other galleries after that. And it's only been a year. It's just been a really jam-packed year. Okay, I would say, okay, so one thing about my art, I would say my job is pretty controlling. Like we have a very detailed, my day life is so detailed, so high touch. Fluid art is the opposite of that. That's why I like it. So when you first start out, you can control almost nothing. Like all you can almost, you can't even control the colors because you might start with a color that disappears. So, but over time, you get much better at controlling, but you still never control it. So the thing I like about fluid art is that it's not using a utensil. There is no brush, right? So I can't make that spot of paint go right there on the canvas. It doesn't work that way. So there's a bit of a I'd say a God factor in it, but there's a bit of you having to get out of your own way and let it do what it does. So basically, I'll hit a canvas, and the first thing I'll say is, "What am I in the mood for?" And then based on my mood, I'll pick some colors. I'll think about a technique. How do I often paint my feelings. I'm still not like a artist in terms of, I started at like 6 years old and I'm here just to basically have this be my career and make money. I didn't kind of start out that way. So I don't have the mentality of I'm kind of making this to sell. I still have a mentality of how do I feel? I paint my feelings, literally. I don't even know if you're supposed to do that, but that's what I do. so and when I'm and strangely enough, if I'm in a really, really bad place, I can't paint. I paint from like a joyous place. So if I'm really not happy, I can, and that never happens. This is like maybe like 5 days a year that I can't do it. Actually, yeah, I gravitate now that I'm more, art makes you understand yourself. Okay. So one thing about me, I don't like straight lines. I'm very much a collaborative creature. I like circles. I like you're not going to see any straight angle in any painting that I do. Now, over the course of me painting these years, of course, I started to pick up a brush, pick up other things, but that kind of has remained the same. I don't like sharp angle. I want you to feel a certain way when you look at my paintings. So they'll always kind of probably be flowing in some kind of way, right? Also, because I do fluid art, it's mostly water. So now that I've painted, I control with pretty good accuracy, probably about 85% of the canvas. So it's not as free in that sense as it used to be. But I would say, but the one thing I've started painting on different objects. I would say that if I had the thing that makes me a little unique, I love to recycle things. So I paint on a lot of furniture. I do a lot of commission tables for folk, and I like to recycle and bring something back to life or take it to a place, especially if it's in the backyard, upside down, covered in like moss. Like that's my favorite kind. I like there's just enough stuff on Earth. We don't need to make any more stuff. Like, we can upgrade what's here. Okay, so um I am I'm submitting for a competition this year, like right now. So it's a competition, it's a mural competition, and I have never done a mural, but you know what? There's a first time for everything. So the cool thing about it is because it's a competition, a mural competition with NASA, it's heavily science based, right? So like this is kind of I never thought I would get the opportunity, and I haven't got the opportunity yet. I just, applying for the competition, but I've never combined my 9 to 5 life with my passion life before. So this is kind of letting me do both at the same time, which is very new for me, which is fun, but very new. Plus, I'm undertaking something like I like it that I've never done it before. Like I don't really if I have any, I don't know, Mary superpower, I don't mind no. No means nothing to me. So I submit to everything. Like, they could tell me no, but I like to figure things out. Art is about figuring things out often. Like you might have to make the same painting like 15 times before you figure it out. I like that. Right. So I like challenges. And I would say as 2024 begins, I'm doing probably more on a bigger scale. That's probably, yeah. I've submitted to some other things like last year I did a submission to LED Baltimore, which is like a giant, like 50-foot screen on a board across from Penn Station in Baltimore. and I got accepted to that. And then I had like a video made of that. So, I'd never seen my art like as big as a building. That was very crazy looking, but it was wonderful. It was probably the highlight of my last year was that, you know, it was great. And I didn't ever foresee something like that ever happening to me. I'm a nerd. I'm a nerd in the house. Mostly. So, this art thing it's really changed my life. This has been the most amazing year of my life. The best part is the people. So, Arts Nation, probably my first or second day there, I met an artist who became like my mentor because I knew nothing. I didn't even sign my paintings, Like I used to have imposter syndrome because, my career started so quickly. So I always feel like, am I supposed to be in this room? I don't know if I'm supposed to be in this room. Like these people are painting all their lives. Like, what am I doing here? So, and I needed some coaching. The art business is its own animal, right? So I had great people just volunteer out of the kindness of their heart to like teach me everything they knew. I didn't even know people were that kind anymore, frankly speaking. So even like the curator of Earth Nation, like she will just like, if you have the passion, she will take a chance on you. And I didn't even know that there were chances today. So it's been, it has been it's definitely, if you had told me when I was your age, back in the day, and I just turned 50, December 20th, okay? But somebody told me that my 49th year of life would be the best year of my life, I would not believe it. Definitely last year was the best year of my life, by far. It's not even a close second. So, and it's the art thing. The art thing kind of puts you in another universe with different people. It's hard to explain. It's like you find your tribe. Like I find my tribe of people. It only took me 49 years. That is easy. So the most challenging thing has been I don't know what I don't know. So in my day job, I've been doing it for like 25 years, so they might consider me OG, in my day life. And also like I'm a science nerd geek, right? So some things this is a totally different everything. Okay. Usually like science, we have no competition. Like there's so few scientists. And so like and we all kind of know it, like the small, tiny, sciencey world. Art it's so many people and they're so competitive. I'm not a naturally competitive person. So one thing I did not, probably one of the biggest shocks to me was, yo, this is competitive. And not everybody's gonna be nice. Number one. I would say the most surprising thing, I didn't realize it's so old school in some ways. Most of the artists by far, at least in the African American community, have been men. But the people who purchase the art are women. So like it was so surreal going to like a gallery and like you read like the list of artists and they're 21 and 19 of them are dudes. I was like, what industry has 19 people that are dudes? Like I had no idea. I had no idea. And then you meet the collectors and they were all women. I was like, this was the strangest, because my industry is the opposite. My industry is almost all female, strangely enough, right? I work with a lot of female nurses, doctors. There's a lot of men also, but it's hugely female, right? I didn't know that. And it's so old school. Like tech it's getting obviously, with digital art, artificial intelligence, it's definitely, there's a level of technology and sophistication that wasn't there in art, but it's still old school. We're still stretching a piece of cloth over a piece of wood and then stabbing it with a stick. I mean, that's what kind of painting is, like the same way we were doing it 1,000 years ago is what they're kind of doing now. So the attitudes of it are kind of old school. Like the when you think of like the most expensive like paintings you could think of, like if you think of like Van Gogh or you think of Basquiat, you're naming dudes, right? So even though there are a ton of female artists, when you think about the most expensive paintings in the world, you're probably gonna name men, right? And I didn't realize not everybody purchases what they like. Art is it's a commodity. Like people like trade it, and like it's like gold. Like you trade it, it appreciates, like yeah, I didn't know that. I thought you just bought what you liked. But they sometimes people don't even like what they're buying. Like sometimes they love, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they just see it as a collector's item, right? And I didn't realize that. That industry part of it, had no idea. It's much harder to break into, at least in my opinion, as a female than I thought it would be. I'm like, you can't see me. You can when you look at my art, I'm not there. How would you know who made it? Right? Why would you care? It's not necessarily sometimes it is like that. In its truest form, it is like that, but often it is not. They're looking for who signed it. I didn't know. I thought my signature devalued the painting. They want the signature sometimes when they want the painting. And I did not know that. I'm like, this is so weird. It's like a secret world. Like once you go, it's like Harry Potter or something. Like, does anybody know this world exists? Like, this is so weird. But some a famous artist will sign a napkin, and that is worth so much more. What a napkin with a smiley face is worth so much more than like my 5 foot original. Okay, well, I definitely will say I still have fears. Every time I do something I've never done, I have fear. I'm from a small farm, like with a small family in like a very rural part of Maryland, right? So I'm often scared, but one thing I that never stops me. I don't fear no, ever. I don't care. What's a no? A no is nothing to me. I will literally go anywhere. I don't care if how hoity-toity the gallery is. I don't care how exclusive it is. I don't care if it's owned by the king of art. I will go up in there with a canvas like, "Hi, I'm Mary. What you think?" Like, what's a no to me? Maybe it's because I feel like I'm kind of an outsider. Like it just doesn't. I don't have my ego is not associated with a no. Like if you don't like my art, that doesn't bother me. I don't even blink. I don't even think about it when someone doesn't like it. It just and a lot of artists have very delicate egos. Like they're like crushed by that. Like I don't mind rejection. And I now that I've done this a while, that if I had an artistic superpower, that's it. Because I'm highly likely won't be the best artist in the room, but I'll try. I will try. And if they wanted art on the moon, I will try to send the thing on the spaceship, like whatever. What are they gonna tell me no? Ooh, And it's always another opportunity. You don't you have to apply for more than you're gonna get. You have to. You can't. You don't. There's not enough time to do all the things. Like if you apply for 100 things and you get one, you don't have time to do the 99, right? So I don't. It's going to sound hard. What's the strangest? I don't necessarily want to always be accepted because I don't have time to be accepted all these things. But I like to try the best that I can. I will give my 110%. But I don't mind a no. And that would be the advice I give anybody. Apply for everything. Never not apply. And I don't care how outrageous it sounds or how much, like it could be like some $500,000 whatever, or I don't care. I will apply. Let them tell me no. And then I go about my day. What's a no gonna do? I won't die. you know. So that's how I overcome it. And I will tell you this. One thing I've learned, because other artists have told me, apparently this is somewhat unusual. A lot of times women just don't go up in galleries and that it's just not done, that you just go in with a painting and say, hey, is there room for me in here? Like that's not done. Either we're psyched out about it or, we don't think it's appropriate or maybe we're too scared. But I've been told that most people don't do that. I don't care. I'm like a farmer from Ashton, like, whatever. There's always another gallery, or you could just sell online and you don't need a gallery. Like, I would just say apply to everything. So I started doing workshops at Arts Nation because now I like teaching. Actually, I didn't even know that. So now I've started doing fluid workshops at Arts Nation, which actually have led me to do fluid art workshops, volunteering at a middle school, which actually are leading me to do. I'm doing. Hopefully, I'm doing a fluid art shop. I got installed in another gallery, Wellspring Manor and Spa. So um, hopefully, I'm doing a fluid workshop there, like for Valentine's Day. So that's yet another thing that I gotta get myself together for. So everything always leads to another thing. And you have to open your mouth. That's another thing. You have to open your mouth. I was just at Wellspring dropping off a painting, told them that I was teaching some students. They're like, oh, we might want you to do a workshop over here. Like, but if you don't say anything, they don't even know that you do it. Right. So that's another thing. And it doesn't come naturally to me. Like you gotta open your mouth. Right. And say, not that you're like bragging, but tell people what you're doing, you know. So I don't know where this teaching thing is going, but apparently there's a great demand for it. People want not only workshops, they want paint and sips and that whole, and I had just never thought about that before. But what I do lends itself to that because I paint very quickly, right? So and it's relatively an inexpensive operation, and you don't even need a brush, when you do what I do. So I never thought about it before, but now that's another thing, So that's going to be like we're going to see where that goes. I'm interested to see where that kind of takes me as well. Oh yes, so many. Okay, so I would say one of the ones I went to the Protege show. Pancho Brown did his 20 mentees in Baltimore, and the aspect of mentorship I found fascinating, right? But all of these artists are so different from each other. That's what made like the Protege so interesting. And it was like, I guess what he considered like, well, he mentored so many people, but these were 20 kind of he singled out, and their art was very different from each other, but it was all dope, but it was very different from each other, you know? So and they're all in different stages of development. Like some people had been just started, some people have been painting. He'd mentored people that he'd mentored since they were 8, and now like they made like 1,000 euros or something. Like it was just that was freaky seeing like the different stages like of development of these people, you know that was very interesting. I had never been to like artist receptions and all those. That is fascinating. Listening to art people talk to each other is fascinating. But yeah, that stands out for me just because of the diversity. It was great, but it was also so diverse. Their styles are so different from each other. I was like, this is interesting. So I do like going to other artists' studios. I find that fascinating. And I like to go to other artists' receptions. Any other artist, anything is just seeing how people think when they do stuff. It's just so interesting to me. Why did you choose that, not that? That, not that. You know. So yeah, that stands out to me. That was cool. Once you go to one, you're going to all of them because but you don't know about them until you go to the one. So I'm now going to like this Sunday. I'm going to overdue recognition to like Charlie Palmer's he's going to be there this weekend doing an art talk. Like, but you learn of these when you go to the next one. Like it's a really a small little it's a big small little community. It's just hard to explain. Like what's weird? The information is right there in your face, but you have to know it's there, which is very so like I was listening to like on a Wednesday like a Facebook live broadcast from one artist that was talking about LED Baltimore. Said that it was free to fill out the application. Why don't more artists do it? What the worst they can say is no. It's like, well, I'm gonna do it right now. Next thing you know, I got accepted and I was on the board. Like, but you gotta know, you just gotta listen and pay attention and go to other people's stuff. It's not all about you. Like, I'm gonna see what other artists are doing everywhere. So I would go and unfortunately, you got to leave the house, Joe. I'm a hermit. I'd rather stay in the house and paint. But you're not going to. I mean, if you do that, then just know you're never going to sell like anything. Like you gotta go out, if nothing else, to learn about the other resources, right? Because you're just not going to learn about them in the house. The online is great. There's some things you have to do in person. And one thing too, I would say, when they buy the painting, they're not buying the painting, they're buying you. I didn't know that. I didn't know that they cared who I was. Like, you want it? No, they don't. They want you. They want to know your story. What were you thinking when you made it? Why'd you start painting? They want to talk to you and chop it up for like 45 minutes before they buy that painting. Like, I didn't know that. I thought they just said, give me that one. That's not the case. Art is not buying a car, right? And I didn't know that. So you got to leave the house. And it's fun. These things are fun. These are nice people. They're interesting. You know, they're fun events. So I highly tell people, go to artist receptions, like go to open studios. Open studios are dope. When an artist will open their studio and you can go see like all the goodies in one place. You know. Yes. Um. Oh, how many are there right now? Like I'm submitting to so many things. I'm trying to remember what I'm submitting to, frankly speaking. I probably, I used to do a lot of vending, right? I'm I might do the Hyattsville Art Festival this summer. I'm thinking about it, but I'm a little older now and long in the tooth, so I don't sometimes feel like kind of being out in the elements, carrying all my stuff. But it is fun. I love it when I do it, when you set up your little tent and vend. I probably do a vending event or two, probably this summer. I am going to submit to more competitions. If by some grace of God I win a mural competition, oh, I'm doing more of those. Like whatever. I mean, as I'm going to keep applying to everything. Like I'm just going to keep applying, and then I'll kind of screen out what I want to do and what I don't want to do after that. Like some things I'm sure I'll enjoy more than others. But yeah, I'm going to apply to everything, and I'm also going to learn more techniques. One thing I need to do is homework. I'm interested in other things like airbrushing, you know. That's probably going to be my next big undertaking. I want to really be like the proficient airbrusher, you know, which opens up other opportunities. I would say first of all, don't be afraid to tell people that you paint or do whatever you do. I made the mistake of not really telling family and friends as soon as people have to know that you're doing it to support you, right? So it's not really bragging, but you got to be vocal with your stuff, right? Um, I would say there's things that you can do to kind of find out if maybe like you're any good at this. Like, and like one thing I wish I had done if I would told like earlier me, make a calendar, make 12 paintings, 12 whatevers, make a calendar and make that be like your holiday present to people, right? Because they get 12 images of whatever your thing is, and then they will tell you whether you're on to something or not. Like, and everybody needs a calendar. Everybody uses their phone and everything else, but I don't know the last time I went in the house I didn't see a calendar. So and make things that are functional and when you're initially. So like they might not buy a painting. A painting doesn't do anything. But if you put that painting on like an object, like a mug, like take a digital picture and put on a mug and give it to somebody, right? Um, be your own, I would say, and you have to be your own advocate, right? At some point I figured out like, why am I buying a phone case? My phone case should be me. Why am I buying someone else's art on my stuff in my own house? If I won't buy my stuff, who's gonna buy my stuff? My shower curtain is my stuff. My phone case is my stuff. Be your own advertisement subtly, like not in an obnoxious way, you know, but like, why are you buying somebody else's print, right? Take your art, and now what's great about technology, yo, you can print anything to anything. You want a travel bag to put on top of your suitcase, you better go and take your art and put it on a duffel bag and have it printed, wrap around, and that is your bag. Like, it's so easy now, and it's so much more affordable than it used to be. So I would say, and don't be scared of no. No, what is no? I don't have necessarily a thick, I've kind of lied when I said like I have a thick skin. I don't have a thick skin. I like to think I know what's important, right? Not winning a competition is not important to me. People are important, right? Other things are important to me. Competitions come and go, like, whatever, you know. It's not that I just try to keep my focus on what matters to me. Not necessarily that, and I don't have that much of an ego about this, really. I paint because I love it. I gotta love it first. If no one buys anything I paint, I like it. You see it's on my wall, so if someone else likes it, you know, more power to them. Well, I didn't know artists make quite a bit of money. If I had known, see, when I was in school, I wanted to be a psychiatrist, and my parents were like, "You're never going to make any money doing that." Like, that is not necessarily that. Like, my parents had the best parents ever, but people will put their insecurities on you, right? That is what I would have told all ages of the younger me. Don't listen to that. They're not doing you any favors by telling you that. They're not. And there are people making money. Whatever it is in your life, there are people making money. And more than likely, they're making more money than you think. A plumber makes way more money than you think. Like, this whole world is kind of like, has you thinking certain things that are not true. There are artists who are banking and doing very little. They're making like prints by someone else printing them while they sit in their comfort of their house and the checks just come. And that art was made 20 years ago. And they just live off the print. Like, who knew? You know, I would say research, but don't necessarily listen to the opinion of others. Because, especially my favorite phrase is those who can't do, teach. People love to tell you not to do something when they have never attempted it. Like, how do you know? You've never done this in your life. So, and real artists or real anybody's are never going to tell someone, "Oh, never paint." Like, no real artist does that. No plumber goes to an apprentice and says, "You can never be a plumber." Said no one ever. Like, that's what people who can't do it do. I don't know another way to say it, but yeah, the people who tell you no aren't doing it. So, you know, and do what your passion is. Your passion will fuel your life. I did not necessarily pick my passion. I picked something I enjoy. I love my day job, right? Because I'm trying to find the cure for cancer. Like, there is a bigger, thing here. I love my day job and I love the interaction with people, but it's not my passion. Art is probably what I should have always been doing. But I'm a practical chick. I wanted to be able to take care of my mom, my sister, my family, and it's harder to monetize than like chemistry. You know what I mean? But I should have always been doing it. You can of course see me at Arts Nation Gallery at National Harbor. And I'm often there on the weekends, probably usually on Saturdays, sometimes doing some stuff. Or I am currently installed at Wellspring Manor and Spa in Landover, Maryland. I'll be at their art walk actually on February 18th. So, who knows what the future holds? Hopefully, I'll be running a list of a million other galleries by the close of this year. Everything that's happened to me has happened to me in 1 year. I'm trying not to be. I'm kind of hard on myself. I'm like, yo, some artists like never get in a gallery. Like, I sometimes I'm kind of tripping. Like, okay, you know what? You're doing enough. Like, calm down. you know, I'm gonna do as much as I can, but I'm gonna pace myself, and I'm gonna enjoy my life. I'm not gonna do so much that this isn't fun. Right. So any opportunity I'm presented with, I will attack, but I will also pace myself. I like sleeping and eating. And other things.